20 albums of 2020 so far. Oh, so let's go over some things about these albums. First of all, they're all by women. So they're all female artists. Did I do that on purpose? Yes, but at first, when I was making my list, it was like 90% female. So I'm like, let's just make it an all female list. Okay, one more thing I want to add. This list, this countdown is my opinion. Okay, so before you get upset, this is my opinion.
My opinion.
All right, and another thing, these are not in any particular order other than by release date. Number 1, Rare by Selena Gomez. This is one of the first major releases of 2020, and I would have to say my favorite song on the album is Lose You to Love Me. I love that song. There's nothing more to say about it. The overall vibe of the album is that it's just a fun, dance album. Every song's pretty much upbeat. If not, like Lose You to Love Me, it's just a beautiful song. Great arrangement, mature lyrics. It's just, it's a really great album. Fun fact about this album is that it actually took Selena Gomez 4 years. So she was working on this for 4 years, trying to just get at a good place with it. So kudos to her. Okay, number 2 on this countdown is High Road by Kesha. Favorite song on this album is High Road. Great upbeat song, fun to dance to, fun to rock out to.
Love it.
And that's pretty much the vibe of Kesha's whole album. It's just girl power, songs that you can belt out while you're driving in the car, self-love anthems, kind of just like Selena Gomez's Rare. Fun fact about this album, Kesha is the executive producer of her own album, which is pretty cool. Number 3 on this countdown is Swimmer by the band Tennis. My favorite song on this album is Need Your Love. And from start to finish, this is just a great indie pop, album. It's definitely got that sound, but I also like that it has kind of like an 80s vibe to it. That's kind of the theme or the aesthetic of the album with like their cover art and everything like that. It's just a really cool album. Fun fact is that this album is actually motivated by the lead singer. The band is a duo couple, and the lead singer, Lena, she had a fear of swimming, and she basically kind of overcame that fear by forcing herself how to swim functionally. So that was where the title came from, and kind of the theme of the album, where you just are going to face your fears head on no matter what. So I really like that, and I totally understand her fear of water. Okay, number 4 on this countdown is Color Theory by Soccer Mommy, and I love this album. My favorite song on this album is Royal Screw Up. It's just a great song. She has like what I want to call kind of like a old school 90s alternative rock band. Fun fact about this album, she just gets kind of really deep and personal with her lyrics, and she kind of talks about how even though like there's this outward happiness of her, where she's like able to go on these tours and live like this what seems like a great life, internally there's maybe no happiness, just that struggle, and you can kind of see that on some of her songs. Number 5, Fetch the Bolt Cutters by Fiona Apple.
Fiona Apple.
We didn't know if this day was ever gonna come. And this album is just perfection. Favorite song on this album is Cosmonauts. And when you get towards the end of that song, you'll know exactly why I chose that one as my favorite song. About this album, it's vintage like Fiona Apple sound. And vintage. It's classic Fiona Apple. Fun fact, her label or whoever these people are that decide when the album is released did not want her to release it during like the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Actually, like we're higher now than we were back then. Like when was this released? I don't know. But her label said, no, you need to wait till this is done and over. And she's like, no, no. And she released it, and we were so thankful for that. Okay, next up is Rina Sawayama's album, Sawayama. When I say that my ears were not ready for this album, girl, my ears were not ready for this album. My description of the album is just holy crap. I really don't know what else to say. It reminds me of like music from like the early 2000s, but it's like pop, but she's got some rock elements, but like it's just good from start to finish. That's all I have to say. Probably, now choosing a favorite song was really, really hard. I'd probably have to say my favorite song was Excess, but I really like STFU. It's really, really good. It's really good. Rina said that the album is mainly about family and identity, and I think that's pretty evident, especially when you listen to the song Chosen Family. It's a really, really nice song. So, okay, number 7 on this countdown is Hayley Williams' album Petals for Armor. This is her first solo album. Was I the only one that thought that she had like other solo albums? And by the way, this album does not sound like Paramore. So if you're thinking it, you know, if you're gonna listen to it thinking, oh, I love Paramore, I love this. Totally different, but you're still going to love this. It was an absolutely amazing album. Favorite song on it is definitely Dead Horse, hands down. This album is definitely for the ladies who need their anthems before they're about to go out. 8 on our countdown is Kehlani's It Was Good Until It Wasn't. And when you say that, you kind of feel like it's probably got some sort of sexy connotation to it, and it does. That's how I'm gonna describe this album, as like a sexy album. My favorite song on the album though was Everybody Business. Okay, fun fact about this album. Well, kind of about this album. She was going to be going on tour with Justin Bieber for his Changes tour that got canceled, postponed. I don't really know where they're at this point, but I think we're on number 9. Anyway, number 9 is going to be Charli XCX. How I'm Feeling Now, which is a question that we've all been asking ourselves for the past few months. How am I feeling now? I don't know. My favorite song on this album is Forever. A little bit of electronic sound, but it's very poppy, but it's not like always, you know, conventional. I don't know. I just really liked the album. Nice album. And she recorded this album in just 6 weeks in her home. And what's kind of awesome about it is that she used the fans to collaborate. What a unique idea. Number 10 on this countdown was from our very own mother monster, Lady Gaga. And the very, 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 very highly anticipated album, Chromatica. Now, anyone who knows me knows that Lady Gaga is life. Stupid Love and Rain on Me were obviously exceptional, but I really, really love the song 911. So if you haven't listened to the entire album a million times, definitely go do that. But, you know, have your ears keep a lookout for 911. Now, Lady Gaga with this album gave us Lady Gaga. Back to her roots, back to her dance songs that we love. And fun fact about this album is that, you know, the title Chromatica, she has stated that Chromatica is a planet that she lives on. That's all about equality and kindness. And you can't hate that, you love that. Number 11 on the countdown is Chloe and Halle, Ungodly Hour. What a fantastic album. Beautifully written, just a beautiful, I don't know, that's the only word I can say is beautiful for this album. My favorite song on this album is definitely going to have to be Do It, but the overall sound, besides beautiful, is just, it gives you like this totally like euphoric experience while you're listening. Just their voices, like, I don't know how they do it, but great album. And fun fact about this album is that they decided to postpone the release date, not because of COVID-19, but because they were doing it as a show of solidarity for the Black Lives Matter movement. Number 12 is an artist that we have not heard from, well, it doesn't seem like we've heard from her in a while, but it's Norah Jones, Pick Me Up Off the Floor. You know, great, easy listening, but it's got like that jazz component to it, like a bluesy feel to it, and you can't go wrong. My personal favorite on this album is the song I'm Alive, but fun fact is that this album is comprised with a whole bunch of singles. I can't even say singles, just songs that she had left over from other sessions that she did where she released a single. And she just thought, man, these songs are way too good to just let go to waste. I'm not gonna release them as singles though. So she thought that they just went well together and made an album out of it. And how have I just recently discovered Phoebe Bridgers? Can anyone answer that? Anyway, her album Punisher is our number 13 pick on the countdown. And my favorite song is Kyoto. I love it. It just builds and builds and builds, and I don't know, I think it's great. She has a very unique sound to her. It's like that indie pop rock. So definitely listen to the whole album, especially because our fun fact for this album is that, and this is something that I fell victim to. Wow, that's such a weird thing to say, especially when I'm going to tell you what this album is about. A reviewer wrote, don't let like the chill vibe separate you from the lyrics, because it is told from the perspective of a killer, a murderer, same thing. All right, number 14 on the countdown is Hayam with Women in Music Part 3. And I really, really like this. My favorite song on the album is 3 a.m. and it has this total 90s like R&B type vibe, but they also stay true to their sound, but I don't know, there's so many different sounds, but it's Hayam. Fun fact about this album is that on social media they said if anyone could guess the title of the album based on the acronym, that they would win a t-shirt, and I don't think anyone won the t-shirt. Number 15 is Jessie Ware, What's Your Pleasure? And my favorite song on the album is What's Your Pleasure? The whole album is just this like iconic disco type 80s vibe. It just feels like a Donna Summer album, but it's a Jessie Ware album. Fun fact about this album is that after her last album, I guess it didn't do too good as far as sales go, so she was ready to quit music. Then she created a podcast and got millions of listeners, and then made this album as kind of like her fresh start, and what a fresh start. Number 16 is Under My Influence by the Aces. My favorite song on this album is Los Angeles. Ugh, it's so good. It's like that pop rock sound that you just love. Like when you think of like what a great pop rock song is, it's all of their songs. They have that perfect sound. So fun fact about this album is that the band recorded something like 60 songs for the album, and I think this was like Daydream was one of the last songs that they ended up recording, and they didn't even think it was going to go on the album. It ended up going on the album, and it was their first single, and they made a music video for it. Number 17 is one of my personal faves for a long, long time. Ellie Goulding with Brightest Blue. Favorite song on this album is Power. And from start to finish, it flows so well. Like, I don't know, I just love the sound of it. It's not quite like her last album, Delirium, because that had a lot more dancey songs to it, and this one isn't that. Fun fact about this album is that Ellie totally felt this showcased her songwriting, and she needed to make that evident because she feels like she lost her way with Delirium. Okay, 18 is Hate for Sale by Pretenders. Favorite song on the album is Hate for Sale. It's just, I haven't heard a song that sounded like that in forever, or at least not from this decade. But it has that classic punk rock sound to it. Fun fact about Hate for Sale is that it's their 11th studio album, but Pretenders have been a band for 42 years. Okay, number 19. Didn't even think that it was gonna be on this countdown. It kind of just swooped in very unexpectedly, and it's Taylor Swift's Folklore. My favorite song on this album is Invisible String. How am I gonna describe this album? It's very mellow. So we don't have, if you're thinking like, oh, you know, usually Taylor drops that one like bop where you can dance to it, you can turn it up high in your car and jam out to it, or whatever it may be. That's not on this album. When you think Folklore, you think like you have this certain sound in your head, that's this album. Very mellow listening. Like if you wanna, I feel like if you wanna like have a bubble bath or something and just kind of like relax and, you know, have this on in the background while you kind of vibe out or whatever, that's this album. Fun fact about Folklore, the same day she announced it is the same day it was released, which is really awesome. Like, who doesn't love a surprise album? Number 20 is Alanis Morissette's Such Pretty Forks in the Road. My favorite song is Reasons I Drink. That, I don't think it was the first single, but she made a music video for it. So fun fact about this album is that it's actually been 8 years. It's been 8 years since she released an album. But yeah, now she is scheduled to be going on tour. I bought tickets to, and then for her tour in New York, and it got postponed. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to go, Alanis. If you need tickets to the Alanis Morissette tour in September of 2021, you let me know, I'll hook you up. The tour is actually supposed to be the 25th anniversary of Jagged Little Pill. 25 years? Come on, so. And she was gonna be touring with Garbage and Lister.
So twice I've heard your name and thought. Once or twice I put out